Great! Stop!
Cory! How you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, buddy.
Hold on. Wait.
Nice to see you. I imagine you're at the theater already, eh?
I am. Your old place, Roger.
Yes. You're looking fresh as a daisy, which is more than I can say for me. But I want to introduce ourselves now. I'm. Oh, how weird. Okay. I am. I don't know how that. It's so weird. I have it on a loop around the apartment here. But nice vodka. It's probably my vodka left over there. I'm Roger Bart. This is Cory English, and we happen to simultaneously be playing the role of Doc Brown in Back to the Future. I am in New York, and Cory is in lovely London on the West End. And thanks to the folks at Theatre Mania in the US and What's on Stage in the UK, they have brought us here today to fire away at each other some questions about our mutual experiences. Just so you know, in the intro, Cory and I met each other in about 2008. Is that right, Cory?
That's right. Yeah.
So, and when he joined the company of Young Frankenstein, playing Igor, and was brilliant. And I was just so grateful every day that you were on stage and sharing, and I had the chance to share with you. And we did that for a few months, if I recall, and then I think we had a little bit of a break, and then we went on the road for about a year together with the same show, and really got to know each other a lot more then, and his wife, and only one child at that point. So Cory and I go way back, and obviously that means that there's a rapport there that is forced but sincere. And I wanted to start off, and then Cory, you can kind of jump in with whatever you want to say too. But I want to start off with a question that is often posed to me in this part, but I always am amused by what people think I'm going to say. And that question is, in the role of Doc, you have a Marty McFly is a good friend of yours in the show. And I'm wondering, in your mind, how it is that you two met.
Well, I've got, I'll say I, as in Doc. I was doing an experiment out on the street, and Marty comes skateboarding by, and I needed a body. And so I used Marty as my experiment, and he was very happy to join me on the experiment, and we hit it off from there. He liked music, I liked my music, I liked loud music, and I made Marty's music even a little louder, and so we bonded over a bit of science and music. That's where my head goes. I gotta get back in time. I know that you know a lot about the West End already. So my question, I think, first is your West End life, Roger.
Yeah.
What do you miss about the West End that might not be in Manhattan and the Broadway?
Well, I tell you, the West End was my walk to work every day, because I was living in Covent Garden, was by the Opera House, by Philomena's pub, probably familiar with that. Yeah. And then by the Opera House, and then through Covent Garden, and then in 12 minutes I was at the stage door on a beautiful street called Maiden Lane, which was a pedestrian walkway, and also had a lot of bars and restaurants. And I found that when we look out of the dressing room window, the one that's probably right to your left, there it is, right there. It's a beautiful view, It was something about working there that I loved. Just that walk every day I found really gorgeous, and I always would pinch myself how lucky I was to to be in central London in that section and doing a job. Second thing that I love the most, I mean, first of all, I love the British people. I love Britain. And, the first 6 months I was sort of hunkered down and doing the show, but somewhere around the 7th and 8th, 9th month, I started to kind of really form friendships there. And I miss them so much to this day, and to the cast this day, I miss them so much. They're great, great people to work with. And we always had a blast. And the third thing that I think that I really loved the most was that it felt like, the theater is so much part of the culture of being a Londoner and a Brit, So I always imagined that, and I've heard people speak about this, when they say, well, what do you want to do tonight? Should we go to hear some music? Do you want to go see a movie? You want to go to grab a curry? Or do you want to go to the theater? And I feel like in New York, it's a much more, it has to be a bigger event. It's a little bit more expensive. It's you got to get into the city. It's just it's an event, so it has a different vibe to it. Whereas the London theater is so much part of the culture that you can almost go to the theater whimsically. And so people see the shows many times. They know everything about the landscape of the West End and all that it has to offer. And I found that the West End in general has a really great mixture of things that challenge you, things that are avant-garde, and things that are also like comfort food, So those are the things that I really miss the most.
Yeah.
Right, buddy?
I think, that's why I think I agree with so much of that. And what's kept me here for 20 years is that.
Yeah. I remember hugging you at one point, just saying to you, dude, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for being there. It is a great, great choice, It's a great town.
If they don't meet, they won't fall in love, they won't get married, and neither you nor your siblings will ever be born.
Whoa, this is heavy.
All right, here's my second question to you, pal.
Yeah.
At what points in the show do you feel like you're the most Cory English? You let go of a lot of the artifice of Doc. What is a moment in the show where you feel like you are really Cory and you're just there and you're present and there's nothing you can do except just be right there?
Well, I do let my hair down in It Works. I I've never had backup dancers before. I do let my hair down there. 21st century as well. But the more Cory moments is, me talking to my son, Marty McFly. That is the most Cory, sincere, and even the Dreamers moment. And the Dreamers moment, we've shared a lot of points of view on Dreamers, and the way Dreamers is for me is I float in and out of Doc and Cory quite, from one night to another.
Yeah.
And I look down sometimes to the front row, and I'll see a father and a son, a daughter, two kids just wide-eyed looking up, and I'll catch their eye and the innocence and, talking about dreaming right to Cory's heart. So,
You get it, man. Well, it's funny. There's two things I have to say to that. I totally go through the exact same experience. And I guess my second and more pressing question is, why are you staring at little boys in the front row during that song? I don't understand that. But no, I totally get it. Why?
Canceled. Cory's canceled.
Shouldn't you be thinking about other things? All right, so, but I totally agree. I have the exact same experience. It's kind of amazing. I don't know if I've heard that you're 21st century, top of Act 2, sort of just blows mine off the stage, which is a source of some rage for me, but I'll be okay.
Rando
pretty damn good.
John Rando told me, you can be a rock star there, Cory.
Yeah. You don't want to say to Cory English.
Short back character man being a rock star.
Totally.
But it might just save your life. That's the power of love.
Now, for the listeners, I mean, Roger, you know, I followed Roger here into the West End, and he really gave me gold dust. You gave me gold dust, Roger. The most generous actor and egoless actor who gave me so much of my doc. You know, we both put a little bit of Christopher Lloyd in there. I've got some Roger Bart in my doc. What kind of journey is your doc going on right now? Because I know you know, we know it's gonna be a great run on Broadway. And what is keeping you going for your Doc Brown?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks, pal. It means a lot. I love you. You know that the show is. The show offers so many opportunities of answering many of its requirements, and as you know, a lot of it is about humor, and often the scenes include some of the same sort of basic functions, which is to remind the audience how much time we have, that it's life and death, and please don't mess with the past because it affects the future. So I find that, you know, it's fun to kind of slowly invent ways to perfect comedic bits, because there is a science. There is a mad scientist in me that loves the music and the rhythm of comedy. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to deal with a control group, the audience, every single night, which is better or worse to great extents. But over a period of time, you really can kind of hone a lot of that stuff. But I think that it's a matter of really finding that balance between the humanity of the show. So the second act to me gets richer as time goes on, and there's a real desire on my part to continue to keep the play up and keep the fun up, but also to kind of explore and reveal the closeness and uniqueness of these relationships between these two guys, because it's kind of, in many ways, there's a lot of father-son, but in many ways it's also a buddy movie, and it's really fun to have to actively become friends with somebody on stage that the audience knows that in '85 already are great friends. Those are the things that keep me going, and I love it, and I love doing it in New York, and I've loved doing it there, and I have had jobs like anybody else that you think, oh God, I just don't feel like doing it. This is not one of those. I've not gotten there yet, and hopefully I don't see myself getting there. I think this is great for a person my age. This is a wonderful, wonderful gift.
Go, Johnny, go, go, go! Johnny, be good.
This is so boring, but you know what? I sort of thought, this is, I think, maybe what, you know, we've gotten to pretty personal. This is just basic, you know, doing a show. What is this? First of all, this thing is a ball buster. You know, it's hard. It's hard on your voice. It's really hard on my body. I'm tired. If I went through just where I'm aching right now, I mean, just aching. It's really fun though. But thanks to the people at Advil, I get through a lot of it. But
yes.
But what is your regimen? You know, what do you know? You have your life, obviously. You got 2 kids. You got a fantastic wife. You know, like. Yeah. I know you eat a lot of really good fresh pasta, but beyond that, like, what is your? And that's not a joke, actually. I really do know that. It's true. He'll tell you.
Jim.
What do you do to kind of like what kind of changes in your life have you had to make in order to kind of continue on with this thing and do it?
Yeah. Well, I love my naps. Gotta have my naps. And I bought a recliner at a thrift store.
Oh, nice.
So I
good
could
job.
have naps between shows. And every day I have to have my nap. I drive in my scooter, and it's about a 25-minute moped ride. I'll say moped. You know what I mean? It's a moped.
It's a fast moped. Yeah.
But I siren the whole journey.
Yep. Will you demonstrate what that is so people know what you're talking about?
Right. So I'm at the stoplight, and I'm going.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody's, of course, looking at me. I don't give a shit. So, but recently I just put in my hillbilly bluegrass music, so I don't have to hear myself. So I'm like, so I'm, I don't have to hear myself because it gets, monotonous.
Right.
So siren for a good 25 minutes. Then I come in and we do our warm-up, physical warm-up as we do in the West End. Very different to Broadway, which might feel you out on that one. And then I do the vocal warm-up. Physically, I don't do lots because I know I'm gonna do loads in the show. So I really, I hold off. I'll do some stretching.
Yep.
The downward dog, and then that's it. And I try to conserve, for the show.
Good evening, this is Dr. Emmett Brown, and this is my time machine.
A time machine?
I was gonna ask you, what did you think about the circle, that we do over here in the West End, and the warm up that we do in the West End, very different than the Broadway, and the circle. How do you feel about that warm up in the circle?
Well, it was an interesting relationship, me and that circle. When I first got there, I was like, wait, what time do we have to come in? Are you kidding me? It was an hour and a half before the show. And I was like, what? So at first I met it with great resistance. I didn't understand. A lot of times, as you know, they would sort of, after you do a nice stretch, and then you do sort of a company vocal warm up. And then we would get into a circle, and thank goodness we didn't all hold hands and pass energy, because I would have drawn the line there. But
Tommy Tune in the house. Yep.
Right. right. But we had our quick announcements, and there was lots of mutual support for each other. People had gone on the night before, and over time, because of the glorious and intelligent and wonderful David Massey, who was our company manager, who was usually our kind of ringmaster in those, our presider. It was great. I ended up loving it. Not so much the coming in early, but I did love being there and saying hello to everybody. And the company was, very close because of it. Everybody kind of gets in a moment to sort of greet each other and give a pat on each other's back and share an anecdote. And while we should have been vocally warming up. And it was lovely. And I know that with these parts, you don't really see a lot of people during the show. So it was just nice to sort of say hello to people. So it's been great. I told David Massey, that company manager I just spoke of, that on my way out, I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this to you, but I'm gonna, I won't be doing it in New York, but my legs are a little stiffer because of it, but I do miss it. It was really fun.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
Well, I love you, pal. Sure nice to sort of rap with you.
Yeah, always good to connect with you, Roger. Roger and I are playing Doc Brown in the West End and Broadway. Come check us out. It's a little bit of a long commute for you New Yorkers to London, but flights are pretty inexpensive right now.
Worth it.
Come on over and
Worth it.
Yeah, and I'll fly you home in the DeLorean.
Yeah, man. I'll have you back in 30 seconds.
Very cool. Yeah, Good? We good? Excellent.
Great Scott! Can this thing really do 88?
Trust me.
All right, I'll take it for a test drive. The Winter Garden Theater on Broadway. I'll be back in no time.
I doubt it. I think you're going to be at the Winter Garden for a long time.
That was a real selfish question because you've always motivated me ever since I saw your Carmen Gia, so that was a bit selfish because I want that longevity, through.
I don't get to do that often, It hasn't even been dusted. But I rarely take it off of its spinning plexiglass cube with my spotlight on it. So it's nice just to have it out.